2025 is set to bring us some interesting movies, from Disney's Snow White to I don't care what the hell this movie is because Michael B. Jordan is in it. Let's discuss. Hey y'all, it's Nae. Welcome back to my little corner of YouTube. This video will contain trailers and discussions about some upcoming movies for 2025. So if you plan on watching anything without any prior knowledge of the plot, use the timestamps in the description box to skip that section. You are about to hear my thoughts on these films and a few others, but of course I want to hear yours, so feel free to drop your thoughts below if you do want to participate in the conversation, and give this video a like before you go so I know you enjoyed it. So I am predicting that we're going to see an influx of religious films next year and in the coming years, particularly religious horror movies. As some of you may know, horror movies very often, pretty much almost always, reflect what's going on in society during the time that the movie is released. Now, I don't want to go too far down a rabbit hole on this one because I haven't done extensive research on it, but these are just my thoughts as a viewer. There has been a lot of conversation lately around black trauma porn, or what's being deemed black trauma porn, with releases like Get Out, and most notably Them on Amazon, with season 1 receiving so much backlash for being just another depiction of very severe black trauma, which, by the way, as a black person and someone who loves horror, I really love Them. Both seasons were fantastic in my opinion, but I also don't subscribe to the whole black trauma porn thing because, as I said, horror often depicts what's going on in society. So you could say that, you know, horror movies do serial killer. Well, I guess some people do say that. Some people do say that horror movies glamorize serial killers. That's a whole nother, we're not talking about that today. I'd have to really do a whole little deep dive on that. I don't necessarily disagree with it. I just am not trying to cancel a movie or a show because of it. So specifically when it comes to Them, I'm like, it's not really a surprise because black people in America, that's all I can speak on, have been feeling like things are kind of going backwards for a while now. We have also recently seen so many psychological thrillers, from Parasite to Saltburn, which I highly suggest, and I actually did a review on it. You can watch it top right of your screen. But I do feel like there's a shift coming and that we're kind of going back to this religious type of thing. I recently watched Apartment 7A and I went in completely blind on that movie. Like, I knew it was supposed to be horror, which by the end of it ended up not really being horror, but I had no idea, spoiler alert, that it was going to have such a heavy religious component to it. And I mean, it was pretty much the premise of the entire film, is that it was this religious type of thing. I'm not going to give any more spoilers than that. The Neon production company is releasing a few different films in 2025 that also have that religious aspect. And to be honest, I have my eye on them. The first one being Presence, which the trailer for this movie is pretty minimal, but it does a great job at pulling you in nevertheless.
You fall into this hole. And the sides are mud, and you can't get out. You wonder where they are. And you wonder what it would be like if you were there too.
I think it's clear that this movie's going to have some type of religious aspect to it. This movie already came out this year, but there's also Heretic, which obviously had a very heavy religious aspect to it, as well as Long Legs, which I haven't seen, but I heard is pretty religious as well. I don't really know what that says about society right now. Do we feel doomed? Are we seeking redemption? Maybe. If y'all out there fearing the rapture, please let me know. I do think there is a very real type of cloud hanging over society that may just fear a type of evilness that you would kind of think is synonymous with religion, because this world is full of evil. Always has been, but it's a lot going on right now. Now, I know Neon is technically still a smaller production company, but do not count them out like y'all was counting out A24. Because I really kind of see them go hand in hand with like a A24, although A24 now is a little bigger. But Neon Production Company did produce Parasite, which I believe at this point has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Let's find out. Parasite on Rotten Tomatoes. It has 99%. I feel like they just being petty and they didn't want to give them that extra 1%, so we're going to say 100. Yeah, this movie has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. You definitely want to check it out. I don't want to talk anything about Parasite because I don't want to ruin it, but highly suggest. But yeah, like I said, Neon for me is on par with A24, giving some movies a chance that may have not had a chance before, especially if they're smaller, independent type films. And Neon will also be releasing The Monkey next year, which again, I believe there's only a teaser trailer for this one. So, you know, a teaser trailer is not going to have too much going on, but it looks interesting. They got me.
A beast not from this earth. smiting the ones who deserved it, the ones who didn't. And everyone in between.
It's gonna be about one of those monkeys that like claps the little, what are those things called? Listen, I'm not a musician, I don't know what they're called, but the little things that make noise when you like slam them together, they're usually gold. It's gonna be about one of those monkeys, and I'm watching that for no other reason than to see how the hell this monkey's gonna end up killing people, because that's probably what it's gonna do. It's probably gonna end up being some type of evil possessed spirit type of thing, at least if they go the cliche route, which again, that'd be kind of religious. I also think I'm gonna have to re-up on my AMC stubs next year. I did not watch nearly enough movies in the theater this year, and I really hope I can change that in 2025, because honestly, the experience of going to the theater is one of my favorite things. Like, I just love, like, I don't know if anybody else does this, but I always take a blanket so like I can get cozy. It's like sitting in a big living room with a bunch of strangers, but I digress. I love the movie theater, so I hope to see a lot more movies in the theater next year. Plus, Michael B. Jordan is getting ready to grace my local big screen, silver screen. Do they still call it the silver screen? So I gotta support for the culture, of course. Now, Michael B is starring in a movie called Sinners, which this is a huge spoiler alert, and I'll give you a second to skip. You still here? Apparently, this movie is about vampires. Now, I say that's a spoiler alert because you wouldn't really know that, at least not from the one trailer that I've seen. I don't know if they're going to release another one closer to the release date. From the one trailer I've seen, you would not know that it's about vampires, but I made the mistake, crucial mistake, of reading the comment section that was underneath the trailer, just like seeing what people thought. And somebody was like, oh yeah, this is that one guy's movie, the director, about vampires. And I was like, shit, now I know it's about vampires. So I kind of ruined it for myself there, but I'm gonna still go see it because it looks fantastic.
One day he's gonna follow you home.
You know, a great trailer is gonna make you want to see the movie right now. And this trailer definitely did that for me. This next one is a bit of a change of pace. So Disney is doing a live action Snow White. And I remember maybe a year ago, a couple of years ago, there was a lot of drama surrounding this, I guess, because the girl is like not a white girl. Y'all gotta let that go. It's time to move on. It's been time to move on. Disney characters are not real. So if their race is not, what's the word? If their race is not canon to the story, then it doesn't really matter which race they are. That's why Ariel was able to be played by a black girl, because Ariel being white was not a part of the story. On the flip side, that's why Tiana cannot be played by any other race, because her being a black girl from the South is kind of integral to the story. And it's really just that simple. Y'all be making it too complicated. Now, they had me sold when I heard that they were gonna do a kids bop version of Whistle While You Twerk for Snow White.
Whistle while you work.
Now, I know that Disney live actions are not always received well, as I said, but Maleficent is one of my favorite Disney movies. Like, whenever somebody asks me my favorite Disney movie, it's definitely Maleficent. I love the darker side and really just the other side of that story. And plus, Maleficent was really misunderstood. Like, they did my girl wrong. I feel like I like the darker aspect of Disney movies because a lot of the originals, Brothers Grimm stories, are pretty dark, and they've just been, you know, commercialized and kind of watered down for children's consumption. I'm not really expecting Snow White to be dark per se. And actually, Snow White is my least favorite story. Like, when I think about all the fairy tales that I liked as a kid, Cinderella was probably my favorite. Maybe Sleeping Beauty. Like, I know that story. I know the story of Cinderella. I know the story of Sleeping Beauty. I know the story of Mulan, more or less. I don't really know what the hell's going on with Snow White. Did she also have a mirror? No, that was Sleeping Beauty. I don't really know much about Snow White, but I love a good live action adaptation of a fairy tale, so I'm definitely gonna go see that. I'm not gonna hold you. I think I was afraid of the dwarfs when I was a kid, so that's probably why I've never seen it. Next up is Mickey 17. Now, this movie is highly, highly, highly anticipated, and I think it's because it got pulled back or pushed forward a few different times. Pulled back. But apparently it was supposed to come out in 2024, but it got pushed back a few different times. So people are like, well, where the hell is the movie? That's not a real snap. Where the hell is the movie? Robert Pattinson is going to be on this, and I'd love to see him do work because he could have very easily been typecast as which one did he play? Edward? as Edward, and I think he was typecast as Edward for a long time, so I love when I see him in a different role that has nothing to do with damn vampires. Now, apparently Mickey 17 is a guy who's a clone of some sort, and he's number 17 of the clone. Now, from what I gather, they're using these clones to kind of learn more about death, so he dies over and over and over again in the movie, and then they're able to like bring him back and ask him questions because the memories remain intact. I don't really know.
You're applying to be an expendable?
Yeah.
You read through the whole application.
Ain't that a kick in the head?
Yeah, I should have read through it.
Once you die, we'll print a new version of your body.
My head keeps spinning.
They made me work my ass off on one mission after another.
Every time you die, we learn something new, and humanity moves forward.
I think this film is gonna surprise me. Not in the sense that I'm expecting some huge reveal or anything like that, but I feel like I'm gonna walk away feeling really good after watching this. Like, it gives wholesome vibes. Lastly, and this is kind of a bonus because I'm not really into action movies, so I'm not gonna be the first person in line to see it, but I do enjoy the John Wick franchise. It's getting a spin-off. I don't know if they call it a spin-off when it's a movie, but it's getting like some form of either, what's the word I'm looking for? Prologue? No, not prologue. Backstory? Yeah, I don't know if this movie is going to be a backstory or taking place in the future, but it's in the John Wick universe, and it's called Ballerina.
Welcome to the ultimatum.
Eve Macaro of the Roscaroma. What a pleasure to see you again.
You have no idea what you just walked into.
Like I said, I don't really crazy love action movies, but I've enjoyed the John Wick franchise as well as the Kingsman franchise, so this is about as action-y as I will get. Plus, it's a girl, so I gotta support. Now, this is in no way an extensive list of what's to come in 2025. Hopefully, we got some good stuff on the pipeline, and of course, we're still waiting for some trailers to be released, but I also know we're getting another Megan. I know, like I just said, I'm not into action, but I know that Tom Cruise is gonna be doing another Mission Impossible. What is this, 85 now? I don't know. Y'all know I'll definitely be in that theater, and maybe I'll get to share some commentary on a few films that I do see next year. Until then, I'll see you guys later. Merry Vlogmas. What's today's date? So if you plan on watching anything without prior knowledge of it, save this video, and I guess don't save this video, because if you don't want to know, then you wouldn't ever watch it. Damn. Okay, hold on. Them on Netflix. Not Netflix, it's Amazon. Netflix is just on the brain. Holding for sound. Michael B. Jordan, okay?
We will